Hey, hey.
What's going on?
How you doing today, sir?
I'm good. How about you?
I am good. I am good.
Good.
I am back in Killeen, Texas, so all is well.
Oh my goodness. See you in town. Nice.
Yes, I know, right? We were doing a little traveling. So 14 days in we were 14 days in Oahu, and then I left Oahu, came back to Texas for like not even a whole 48 hours. And
Okay.
I had made a promise to a friend of mine and that I was going to ride with her to Kansas. Her son had got accepted on a scholarship to a football scholarship to a university in Kansas. So she drove up from San Antonio, picked me up, and then we took off for Kansas. So I flew in, I got in on like a Saturday morning, and on Monday I was in Kansas.
Kansas City?
A little country town called Hillsboro, Kansas.
Hillsboro, Kansas.
I'd never heard of it before. Never heard of it before. I don't even know if they're on the map. Seriously.
Wow.
But it was a fun trip. We stayed up there like a day and a half, and then we drove back.
Okay. My mom is in Kansas City. Valerie, when you see her pop up, she heard that. She's like, oh, why you didn't call me, guys? Anyway, that's good. Well, we're glad you made it home safely. I know Killeen, Texas is happy to see the Monley family back on track, back in the saddle. So that's cool.
Little bit. Yeah. So,
good.
Hey, but
awesome.
It is good to be back. And you know what, Vic? It's just a blessing to be an entrepreneur and be able to do the things that we want to do at the same time while still earning the money that we need in order to maintain our day-to-day lifestyle and doing the things that we like to do. So
absolutely. And, one of my favorite statements is Warren Buffett. He's like, you will never be rich unless you're making money in your sleep. So, real estate obviously is a good way, but there's a multitude of passive income streams that allow people to become independently wealthy.
Yeah.
Still have their time to do the things that they want to do. Their family and all that good stuff.
Right.
So, and I don't think there's ever been a better time in our society where people could do that and start an online business or something else and still have the freedom and the latitude to be able to go somewhere else in the country and still perform your job.
Exactly.
Good stuff.
Entrepreneurship is the way to go with being able to do that. But, I'm excited about our topic tonight. I've had quite a few questions about it since we first started doing our lives. What happens when you're a victim of identity theft or credit fraud? What do you do? How do you prevent it? And, how long does a situation like that take? And
absolutely.
It's especially personal to me because it's happened to us. And it's happened to us more than one time.
Okay.
And it kind of ties together, our story kind of ties together with credit awareness and monitoring your credit report. The first time that it happened to us, and we were really young, right out of the house, first starting family, and we had a vehicle, and I was about to give birth to baby number 2, so we needed a bigger vehicle. So we went to go get a bigger vehicle. And we kept getting turned down, and we couldn't figure out why. Is my credit that bad? I don't have any missed payments on the note that I have. I don't have too many other things on credit at that time. The biggest thing we had was the car. So finally, we had a car salesman that risked his job in order to tell us.
Oh, wow.
So he told us exactly why we got denied. Instead of telling us, okay, you can, go to the credit bureau, blah, 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 blah. He walked us outside and said, hey, Miss Laquita, your Social Security check that you're getting, it's not enough and you need to report that. And that's like, I don't get a Social Security check. What do you mean? And so we ended up doing a lot of investigation on that. And someone had stolen my identity and was living in the city of Houston and getting disability and a whole lot of other stuff in my name.
Wow.
And
I assume you got all that cleared up.
We did. But, as young people, that was something major, like, whoa,
Yeah.
But how did this happen?
Absolutely. And, obviously I knew that we were going to have this topic today, and I did some digging around on some stats. I like throwing numbers out there for people to really understand. So one of the things I just came across, I'm sure there's more updated numbers, but this is bad enough. According to the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, 2.7 million people had their identities stolen just in 2014. That's 5 years ago. So this is a really big deal. I will say that, again, through more research and reviewing things, it looks like the credit reporting industry and, the federal government have taken measures through the last several years to try to, identify, hack all these different hacking systems and to produce things out there that allow people to put fraud alerts and freezes. And we'll talk about a little bit of all that here today. But one statistic that threw out there was, believe it or not, it's only 0.04%. So 4 out of every 10,000 people of all monthly active accounts that were actually fraudulent. So like credit card usage. So if you imagine in the course of a month, 10,000 active transactions. There's far more than that. But for every 10,000, only 4 technically reported a fraudulent related activity. Now, that 4 out of 10,000 seems small, but if you multiply that times however many billions and trillions and gazillions of people we have on this planet, that number becomes really large. And so it's a topic that most people have had some type of story related to, whether it be a story like yours where you were directly impacted, or a family member, or the person who was the thief that actually, I'm sure but there's a couple different things that we're talking about here. One is identity theft. Okay, we'll talk about that one first. And according to the FCRA, which is the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and you guys can go out there. We always tell you we don't work for these companies, but it's part of our business to research this stuff and to help our clients be able to understand these things. So identity theft, the formal definition of it is the deliberate use of someone else's identity, usually as a method to gain a financial advantage or obtain credit and other benefits in the other person's name, and perhaps to the other person's disadvantage or loss. And like in your situation you described, this was a devastating incident for a young couple ready to go buy a car, and now all of a sudden you find out at the purchasing table that there's all this other stuff going on that you have no clue about, right? And so typically what we're talking about with identity theft, there's specific information that will qualify as identity theft. And they call it, there's an official term for it, is personally identifiable information.
Yep.
So PII. Yep. You may have heard this, so you may hear that term again. But personally identifiable information generally includes, obviously, your name, date of birth, social security number, your driver's license number, bank account numbers, credit card numbers, PIN numbers that you use for security access, electronic signatures, fingerprints, and passwords, or any other information that can be used to access a person's financial resources. So that's almost anything that identifies you, right? So, and in this world now that we're all on the internet, the phones and things like that, this stuff is flying around. It's floating around like dust in the air. And so you've got to be vigilant about how to protect that stuff. And again, we'll talk about that, but identity theft, I'd love to hear some folks chime in. If anybody's tuned in right now, if you've been a victim or had to go through the cleanup process of having your identity theft, you had to clean that process up. We'd love to get your 2 cents, during this time that we're on the air. But that's identity theft specifically. So any comments on that before I move on to credit card fraud?
Identity theft, it's with everybody and our whole world moving towards a global economy. we're all looking for easier access and easier ways to do business. And when we're doing that and we're putting all of our information out into cyberspace, it becomes much, much easier because you have a large digital footprint. Everybody has a large digital footprint these days. And the technology is getting much easier to access. Even when we were living in Germany, and while we were living in England, OPM, and if there's anybody that's government civilian or military understands what I'm talking about. In order to get a certain type of job working for the government, you got to have different types of clearances. So you give them your whole history. I mean, they get everything. Well, some of them you even get a hair follicle sample for. Wow. But OPM, that particular platform has access to your name, your date of birth, social security number, people who know you. The people who know you, the people who know them. They have everything that they need in order. And that was hacked. That was hacked. And so, my husband and I getting letters says, okay, your information was a part of the information that was stolen or access from our systems. So even when we're being as diligent as we can be, we have to understand how vulnerable we still are so that we can increase in that vigilance. To try to protect ourselves as best as possible. Because oftentimes you don't know it's happened to you until you've already received the negative impact from it.
Exactly. And definitely, like I said, we'll go through, I pulled out specifically 5 bullets that will help people in this situation, but I want to make sure that I'm clear and we're clear explaining to people what this is, because it is, again, this is happening to tons and tons of people on a daily basis. We're getting ready to come into the summer months. That's usually a big time where people like to move, purchase homes, purchase cars for their kids going off to college, or whatever. And wow, it would be such a devastation that you go through this major celebration of a kid leaving school and ready to move on, and now all of a sudden you go down to the dealership and you find out that there's all this stuff on your credit report that you had no idea, no involvement about, no idea about. Yep. So, we're hoping that this information spreads out. So you mentioned some things there about the hair follicles and this stuff floating around in the air, this information floating around. And one of the big terms, and we'll talk about fraud here in a moment, but one of the big terms that people may be familiar with is data breach. Oh my God, seems like once a week we're hearing about, a data breach of some sort. Wells Fargo, Bank of America, credit card companies, the cell phone companies. And all these people getting breached. Facebook even, I believe at one point had some information that got released. And so what a data breach is, an official term again, data breach occurs when personal information, so PII, has been used or viewed by a person without the appropriate authorization. All right? So in general, there's only a certain grouping of people that are authorized to pull your credit, right? So we're talking about the lending institutions, obviously banks, credit card companies, things like that, and potentially your employer, if you have authorized them on a written document to pull your credit report. So it's not just you go get a job and you just suddenly gave up the rights to your credit report being pulled by your employer. That's not the case. Make sure you guys are signing that authorization form for any potential jobs that you're applying for, where they tell you that they want to pull your credit report. Yeah. You have to authorize them to do that. And if you don't authorize them to do it, you might not get the job, but at least you don't have somebody digging around in your credit report
without you knowing it. Right.
Exactly. So it's very important that, with data breach, this is happening and you don't have as much control over that because it's these major entities that we're doing business with through our laptop and through our phones. Come to find out that they have had seepage of your information to people that should not have that information. So that's what a data breach is. And then, of course, the big one is credit card fraud, where they have this identified as a wide-ranging term for theft or fraud. And it is committed using or involving a payment card, a debit card, or a credit card. And so somebody has basically stolen your identity to gather this credit under their name or under your name,
Mm-hmm.
so that because your credit worthiness is stronger than theirs, they found a way to basically apply your information over the top of theirs, and then they walk into this place as you, and this great credit score that you had gets attached to them. They have no intentions of paying it, and suddenly you become the victim of that. So that's fraud. And a lot of that, basically identity theft, fraud, is pretty much interchangeable.
Mm-hmm.
You have been either, your identity has been stolen so that they can fraud you, or they just found a way to tap into your personal information, create some documents to make it look like you, and then they went ahead and applied for some type of credit under your name. And so that's what's happening out there. And I kind of put together some bullets that I know there's several things you can do, but some of the big ones I think that is, you already mentioned one, and that's check your credit report often. Look for the changes that you don't recognize. Make sure you're pulling your credit reports. Even if you just do Credit Karma, that'll show you a detail of the items on your credit report, who's reporting against you. And if you know you have not had a relationship established with an entity or business, and they are reporting on your credit report, you might need to make a call and reach out to the credit reporting agencies. Anything on that, Laquita?
No, definitely. That is one of the biggest and most important things that you can do. A lot of track your credit report often and track your statements. Everything now is digital. Not everybody is completely digital, but you have the digital access like never before. I'm looking at our bank accounts frequently. It's a daily, because we've had it happen to us. That's a daily habit for me. I'm checking all of our accounts to see of any unusual activity. I'm checking on our credit, and I'm using the apps that we have to check our credit report. What is this that's going on? Because I don't want to wait till something has happened, because it's happened too many times to me before, and thieves are getting more and more sophisticated. We have two students in college right now, and they were going to the college cafeteria to eat. And you notice those little transactions. Well, they at the same time, because they were taking some similar classes, all of a sudden large sums of money started coming out of their accounts. And the only place that they had been frequenting was this college cafeteria. Well, and what we didn't know at the time, we had to be told by USAA that, how the possibility was that their card information got stolen because the card was still in their possession. But it only happened when they went to this student union, to this cafeteria. And someone has a device that could clone your card without your card ever coming out your pocket.
Oh my God!
Or we're taught to be aware of the devices that are attached to the machines where you swipe your card.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it's like, wow.
Oh,
so
man.
some smart kid is sitting in that student union, stealing card details. It's funny, but it's not funny. It's like, whoa. Yeah. And so, it's just so many different ways that can happen. They never have to take your card off your person.
Right. And they have these devices now. I have one in my wallet because I'm trying not to get got like that. But my privacyarmor.com, I don't know if you can see that very well.
Yeah.
And it says here, protect your financial wellness and digital identity. Learn more at myprivacyarmor.com. It says store credit cards in this RFID protector sleeve to prevent unauthorized scanning of your card. Again, I'll show you guys that. It looks like a little plastic card, maybe even like a library card, but you can slide your cards, your debit cards in there. I actually have mine, kind of between a couple cards, just in case they're able to tap into it. But these things are starting to become very popular.
Oh.
And, that example there tells you why.
You have to have
them. Sitting in a cafeteria, or you're sitting at a Starbucks or wherever, and all of a sudden somebody taps into your money. You don't even know it.
You don't even know it.
Go home and check your statements. So that has become something, especially, I end up meeting some of my clients out at these open places, and I just get really concerned about that.
Yes,
so
and even,
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Even with them being in the, like, we see a lot of clients outside, in cafes and in coffee shops and whatnot, and it's a digital world. Everybody has Wi-Fi everywhere, so we're all accessing Wi-Fi, but we're all also very lazy. So, and most of our systems, whether you're a Mac user or a Windows-based user, you got your password saved.
Yeah.
And how easy is it for someone to access that while you're sitting there on that open network to access your information?
We need to get us an expert on here on this topic, because I'd love to dig into this topic so much deeper, because it's a new thing for me, to be honest with you. And I'm being told by many of my clients that, I had this show up on my credit report. And the big thing that bothers me in those situations is when they have not reported this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Get the police report it to your bank, report it to the credit reporting agency, because that helps to validate whether or not you're BSing, or you just really was
you were a victim.
Victimized from. So maybe we need to try to get us a Wi-Fi security type person on, because I'd love to dig into that.
Ben is actually on an assignment at the moment, but because of what he does, that's how we're more aware of being extra careful with our digital footprint. What we do, how we do, especially being on an open network. So we talk about this again. I'll definitely bring him in on the conversation, and a couple other people that we know that that work in that industry, work in the cybersecurity industry, because we have to be, we've got to be vigilant. We've got to be vigilant. Thieves will be thieves, and it's up to us to be more protective of what we have.
And I just shudder at the thought of kids that are 10, 8, 9 years old now, and in 10 years from now, they in college dealing with, like, what kind of security are they going to have to protect themselves from the digital world? And anyway, I tell you, it's something. So one of the other bullets that I had, the number 2 ways to protect yourself against credit card fraud, and you mentioned this one a moment ago, about passwords. So the credit reporting agencies or bureaus highly recommend changing your passwords on a regular basis, and in their eyes, regular will be monthly. And using alternating characters as often as possible. Instead of the number 2, maybe you spell out the letter 2, the word 2, and just alternating it, keeping it different. They say that highly avoid using similar passwords, like going from password 1 to password 2, password 3, all that kind of stuff. Don't do it. People are smarter than that. Make sure that you chime in and that you're able to get those passwords switched over monthly. And on the same token, and I was very much bad at this, using the same password for multiple different entry points. I got it from my email, I got it for this bank account, that had to stop. And so that's a big one there. Password changes. Any 2 cents on that one?
No, absolutely. I know when I worked for the government, the most frustrating thing was set up my password. You got to have like 15 character password. You got uppercase, you got lowercase, you got special characters, and you got numbers, and you have to have a combination of all that in length. I'm not joking, like 15 characters. And it used to annoy me to no ends. Like, God, I'm not setting up all these passwords. I'm going to use my cat card. And I'm going to just log in with my cat card, because I can't keep thinking of all these passwords like this.
Yeah, it gets tough.
It was for the protection of the information that I had access to. Someone had access to my password, they have access to my system, and they can have access to all of these financial documents. Yes.
Trust.
And thank you for saying that, Felicia Bamsberger. She good friend of mine, and she still works, she still is a government employee. Every 3 months, the government requires them to change their passwords, and it will force you to change it. Like if you don't change it, you can't get into the system. You will change this. You're going to change it today or you can't get in.
Ooh, that is crazy. But again, the government, the feds, they have all seen this stuff happening. And it was happening 20 years ago, when we start getting rampant on the internet. And so they've taken measures, whatever administration, they've all been part of trying to put some kind of law in place to ensure that there are protections out there for people like, they're being victimized here. So one of those is that there's now the ability to do a security freeze on your credit report. And this allows you to set up a password or a login or PIN number where you can go into the credit reporting agency. So whether it's Experian, whether it's TransUnion or Equifax, and you can go in and set up a security freeze that allows you to block anybody from pulling your credit for new credit. Now, it won't do anything for the stuff that's already on there, but for anyone that's inquiring to make a credit decision on you based on your credit report, you can block them out. But if you need to apply for something, you can remove the freeze just during the process of the application and get that done. Like maybe you get a new cell phone account or something like that, and you want to have them run your credit. Before you go down there, make sure you do the security freeze, or when you're down there on your phone, remove the freeze. Once you've done your transaction, put it back on if that's what you so choose. But that is an option for you through all three of the credit reporting agencies now, a security freeze, if you want to look into that. Anything on that piece?
No, that's some great information. If you are not, as we've discussed in previous lives, we shouldn't be doing frequent inquiries anyway. We should be being very strategic on who's pulling our credit and why we're pulling our credit. So though it can seem like an inconvenience, but that inconvenience is saving you potentially thousands of dollars, and it's saving your well-built reputation. You've worked hard to get to where you are. And if you're in the process of still working at it, you don't want anybody to go in and do any damage, because we've done enough damage ourselves. We don't need no help with this. So
exactly. Exactly. Yes.
So
yes.
Having those extra steps in place is a great measure to do.
Absolutely. And I won't go into detail on this because this will open up a floodgate. But yes, Valerie K. Lewis, a few years back, was a major victim of some hacking going on. And it wasn't just credit reports. It was a lot of weird stuff happening through her social media and a lot of that. And so anyway, she took some measures, reached out to the government, to the reporting agencies, all kind of Facebook directly, all this stuff. And they were finally able to, it looks like she's stated here, 2 years now that she's been hack free. But it was a big deal. And I'm telling you, this stuff, there are people out there that are vigilant. They're super intelligent, super resourceful. But they don't want to use that to make some good money in a legal situation. They rather find it and hack us out here that's working hard to make our money and take care of our families. So anyway, security freeze, that's the third one. Number 4, you can do fraud alerts. So that's one of the ones I think in 2003 or 4, George Bush actually put that one in play, where you can do, there's 2 types. There's an initial fraud alert that you can kind of put on for sudden immediate things that have happened to you, or you can do an extended fraud alert that basically can sit there for 7 years or so, and anytime anybody needs to go in there, you are alerted about that credit inquiry. So that's one that you should do anyway, even if you've never been a victim yet.
It was
a fraud alert.
We participated in that one when we left the States to go live in Europe in 2010. And at that time, we knew we wouldn't be applying for any new credit. So we put those alerts in place on our credit, at our 3 major credit bureaus for that reason, for that particular reason, because, hey, I'm not in the States. I'm not watching this. I don't have the ability to watch it like that. I can still watch it digitally, but by the time I see it, everything in America is asleep. That time difference. So it was okay. If we know we're not applying for nothing new, we're not doing anything, we're paying off debt while we're gone, we're going to live life to its fullest while we're gone. So we put those things in place, and it was definitely a tremendous blessing that we did do that.
Wow. Well, the fourth one that I have is, and this is, again, there's a million things you could probably do. I just wanted to put some quick hits out here. Number 5 is use a shredder to destroy mail that you may have that comes to your house, or certain detailed, like, unfortunately, when I did a life insurance policy, they mailed all this stuff to my house. I'm like, oh my God, this stuff, man. I should have told you to send it to PO. But anyway, if you got personal information on documents, like we talked about this PII, any personally identifiable information, if you no longer need it, make sure that you shred it. And then don't only just shred it, dump it in different trash cans at different times. Don't let them put the puzzle together.
Yeah.
On the day that the trash get picked up and they, skimming through your trash, but dump it 1 week. I'll put half of it here. Another week, maybe I'll dump it over here or whatever. But use those shredders to destroy all that information, and make sure you don't put it in a place where they could easily put that information together.
Absolutely. It may seem like people are not going to do it. Because I asked my husband one year, he was searching like a madman for a confetti shredder. And he got on my nerves. He was seriously annoying me. And he was like, well, you don't understand. And this was when we were living in Europe. He was just pressed, adamant for this confetti shredder. And it was like, I do this for a living. Oh, Lord, I don't want to hit it from him. So you mean to tell me somebody going to peacefully put these back together? He said, yes, I do it at my job. Wow, okay. So, yes, people do go through your trash.
Yes,
they will go through your trash. And they will.
Think about it again.
You just rip it up. Old school, you just trying to rip it up. Now, a diligent thief will put in their software that they can buy and scanners that they can buy and just reinvent your document.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, my God. Give me the chills, I tell you. It's just crazy. So, those are just 5 things. I mean, we could probably sit here another hour and throw out several more. But what I did want to do is I came across the identity fraud website. Actually, I went through the TransUnion one. And so they do have some exact steps or some recommended steps that they want people to do if you are a victim, or what do you do if your identity has been stolen, is how they have it worded. So number 1, we talked about this. Report the theft. You must report it. They're recommending that you report the identity theft to the local police, to the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, and your state consumer protection office or attorney general's office. These are offices that are in place in each state to ensure consumer protection. So it's important that you notify them. They have an obligation to do the due diligence to track down whatever information you've given them, so that they can try to not only correct your situation, but see if there are other victims tied to that same suspect out there that might have stolen your identity. So contact your local authorities, your federal authorities, and your state consumer protection office if you are a victim of that. Obviously, they have here tax fraud. Reach out to the IRS, get them involved. Freeze your accounts. Contact the 3 credit reporting agencies, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, and place a freeze on the accounts. And we just talked about that process. You can put a freeze on it. The freeze will block any further credit applications made in your name. Yeah. So that's the second step they want you to do. And then the third one that they're recommending is call the bank. Report the situation to your financial institution. Make sure you report it as fraud, ID theft, and supply them with any of the documentation that you receive from the police report or the state or from the feds, and anything that you receive maybe from the credit reporting agencies, and all in support of your claim. And get that to the bank so that if someone has already victimized your account, you can use that in an effort to try to get that money back.
Get those funds back, yeah.
Since it's federally insured money, but you got to be able to support that was in fact a theft. So, any additional comments on those statements there?
All of them are spot on. They're all things that we were required to do ourselves when we realized that I had been a victim of identity theft. And then throughout the years, it's been times where we've had credit card fraud. where, people have accessed one of our credit cards or our bank card, our debit card, and, went on a little mini shopping spree without us knowing. So those are things that that we had to do in order to recoup those funds. And because we're living in an age with so much awareness now, there are different organizations out there that will provide you even with a type of, I wouldn't call it insurance, but that's the best way that I can describe it, to where you can receive some type of monetary compensation and put in place depending on how bad you've been impacted by this fraud. There are things in place. I know a good friend of mine is a Legal Shield representative, and this is not like a shout out well, I guess for me it is. I'm advocating for that particular organization because we've been longtime members back when it was Prepaid Legal, and now it's Legal Shield. And they have some excellent tools in place that does exactly what they say it's going to do. And because we've had to use it. So I can speak to it from personal experience. We had to use their services to help with our identity situations and to help with some other things. So you can even get it now through your credit card companies, through your banks, through your insurances. I know as a USAA member, they offer it to us as a form of protection. So if you have access to these things, it shouldn't be something that you have to think about maybe affording one day. It should become a part of your monthly budget. It has to become a part of your monthly budget.
Just like you're comfortable paying for your utilities, you should be comfortable paying for your credit protection, your identity protection.
Yes.
That is really important. And, again, I wouldn't be right if I didn't come on here and tell you Credit Restoration Mentors. We are here to help you. We can help people in those situations. If you don't know which way to turn, we're not just the company out here disputing debts. We actually can guide you through some of this stuff and help you get cleared up. Obviously, as I just stated, it helps tremendously if you are a victim of fraud or identity theft, that you have any supporting documents that you immediately report it. But even if not, reach out to us. We're experts at this stuff. We will get you in the right direction, if nothing else, and try to help you out. So again, creditrestorationmentors.com is, we're big on trying to educate more than just dispute items. We are very much a company that likes to make sure people are informed. And again, the whole point is to leave our program and continue to maintain and have great, excellent credit throughout your life. And these type of things will mess you up. Identity theft, not protecting yourself, not looking at your credit report on a frequent basis. These are all critical things, and we encourage everybody to check it frequently.
Yes, checking it frequently. I was just looking at a post from Marcus Ogden. That is so right. Credit is way more important than what we give it credit for, and you don't realize it until you don't have it, and until it's been messed up. If you're working diligently to restore your credit, then you need to this is a part of those necessary steps. If you have good credit, then you need to be diligent about keeping it that way. Yeah.
And I'm in a front row seat to see how long it takes to rebuild credit. And I'm telling you, it takes a whole lot longer to rebuild it than it does to damage it.
Yes, sir.
Whether you're doing it on your own or somebody else helped you damage it, it still is going to take time to recover. So it's always better to exercise preventative maintenance than to try to go back and fix something that was already done.
Absolutely.
Do you have any closing comments?
I don't have that many closing comments. Just, thank you all so much for joining us Monday after Monday, and for the awesome feedback that we're getting on these Facebook Lives. Thanks, Vic, for your excellent resources. Guys, tune in to us every Monday at 6 p.m. If you haven't reached out to Vic for creditrestorationmentors.com, please reach out to Vic for creditrestorationmentors.com. Financial literacy, debt management, credit management, we all need it. We're never at a point in our life where we don't need it. So wherever you are, I don't want people that don't have good credit to think that this series is meant to make them feel bad. No, we're just trying to share our story, and we're trying to add value by sharing our story. And what we have experienced, we want to give back so that you don't have to go through what we've been through, or if you are, help you get a roadmap on how to get out. So please don't hesitate to email us. Don't hesitate to reach out to us on Facebook or visit our websites. We'll be more than happy to assist in any way that we can.
Absolutely. Very well stated. Very well said. I just want to make one last real quick comment, because unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize debt is a business. Like this is $1 trillion business. And there are companies that are waiting, they're salivating, waiting for people sitting around with credit scores under 600, under 650, so that they can rack up interest rates on you. It is legal for them to do that. And they would, in a lot of cases, rather see you walk in the door with a 600 credit score than me walk in the door with a 785 or 790 credit score. Because they know I'm going to get them payments made. I'm probably going to pay it off way before they get any interest out of it. But on your end, if you're a poor credit managing person, then you're going to be dealing with higher interest, higher rates, bigger down payments, all of this stuff, worse quality vehicles, all this type of things. And I'm telling you, the debt industry relies upon people to have poor credit. And if you are a person that's in your 30s, 40s, and have never touched a 700 credit score, please call me. I want to help, and I'm going to walk you through that process. I'm just like a personal trainer, coach, AAA coach for somebody trying to get off of the bottle. I'm going to help you break the habit of bad debt, me and my team. And again, these things, I just am so grateful to you, Laquita, for one, it was your idea to even do these Facebook Lives. So I want to make sure that people recognize that. But two, the fact that you brought this and you recognize that there was a need, and we're just trying to offer free information. You can tune in anytime, not just today, not just when it's live, but go back and look at some of the previous Facebook Lives. Get educated, get informed, and get your credit right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is one last thing that I do want to say, and I know we're over our time, but while we're on this piece about fraud and identity theft, and this piece of information is particularly for young people. If there are any young people that are listening, whether you're in college, about to go to college, listen, your social security number is valuable. Your social security number is absolutely valuable. And if at any time, young, old, whoever, whatever, if at any time you have someone who asks your permission to use your social security number and your date of birth to go get something turned on, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. You're not helping that person, but that person is going to hinder you. Because though you may not be needing that right now, you will in the future. So no matter what age you are, you don't ever give anybody permission to use your date of birth and your social security number to get anything in your name. Don't do that. It is not helping them at all. I don't care whether it's family pressure, peer pressure, friend pressure. Don't do it. If they need to ask you that question, it's because they haven't been a good steward or a good manager over their own. I don't care who it is.
Right.
Don't do it. And if you're listening to this broadcast and you're in that position and you want somebody to do that, or you've had that idea, you don't have to. Reach out to Vic at creditrestorationmentors.com, and he will show you how to get what you want or what you need with your own name, your own date of birth, and your own social security number.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
We're here to help.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Vic. Thank you for everybody for tuning in, and we will see you guys next Monday at 6 p.m.
That's right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.